Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex Wilson, and today I'll be taking you through some Joe Judge quotes from yesterday, OTAs on Friday. Media was present, got some good questions in there. I want to go through some of the Joe Judge's main takeaways from this practice session. And, Anthony is not here today. He has a sore throat. Venereal Anthony once again strikes, and, he's out sick with a sore, sinus infection or whatnot. You could hear on the last video. Guy sounded like he had a rock up in his nostrils. So here I am today going solo, and some cool stuff on the line. Joe Judge always has something good to say. He always has something inspiring to say. Talks about the positivity and momentum / growth of these players. And I'm excited to dive into some of what we saw, some of what he noticed, and really talking about the rookies, Daniel Jones and Evan Engram specifically, and a little bit of Nick Gates coming in and having a nice quote regarding the offensive line and their growth and why that this offseason is such an important factor in their future success. But Joe Judge, yesterday OTAs, he noticed a lot of things. The rookies look good. Really talked about Evan Engram, people asking about him. And Daniel Jones, where is his progression going? Is he taking a step forward? What are we supposed to expect in this 2021 NFL season? And I'll tell you what, yesterday, Kenny Golladay was there. Kadarius Toney officially signed his rookie deal. So he's expected to be out there next week. And I think for the most part, a lot of players did show up. The only grouping that really was not there were the cornerbacks, mostly defensive backs. They're down in Tampa working with Logan Ryan and his grouping. And I think that's okay. They trust Logan Ryan. They trust his trainer. They trust that, he's building chemistry with that group down there. They know they don't need them to be at practice, at training, if they're going to be out doing the same thing with Logan Ryan and his guy. So I think that's totally fine. Not worried about that. But there was a lot of good show-ups at OTAs. Of course, Daniel Jones was there, Evan Engram, a lot of the receivers except for Toney, and John Ross wasn't there. Kenny Golladay is obviously a big one, and I'm excited to see what they can do in practice once they get going. Kenny Golladay and Daniel Jones, that's the combination that we need to see take a very big step in the right direction next year, just based on obvious factors that remain. The Giants had one of the worst receiving corps last year in terms of separation, touchdowns, red zone threats. Now they have a couple big bodies in, Kenny Golladay, who's 6'4", and Kyle Rudolph, who is 6'6". I just made a montage on YouTube showing how the Giants should use Evan Engram and Kyle Rudolph, and really, Kyle Rudolph should be that high percentage, middle of the field, quick outs, quick, easy receptions, a guy that really is going to collect passes and not drop the football. That's what Evan Engram failed to do last year. That's the role that Kyle Rudolph should be playing in 2021. But as for Evan Engram, using him on spray fades, using him on seam routes, deep outs, dig routes, getting him downfield where he can make plays and create separation and can really exercise his quality route running. That's where Evan Engram should be feasting on offense specifically. But when it comes to Evan Engram, Joe Judge has some great things to say about him. Of course, everybody kind of hits on Evan all the time, whether it's, your nicknames, easy interceptions. We could come up with a ton of them. But the reality is that Evan Engram is, not dropping the football away from being a top 5 tight end in the NFL, or at least receiving tight end. The guy is absolutely insane when he's playing quality football. And this is what Joe Judge had to say about him. Confidence comes from practice and execution. And I'm telling you, when you watch us practice and you watch number 88 on the field, no one empties the tank like this guy. I mean, this guy goes hard every day. We've got to tell him to tone it down more than pick up his pace. This guy works on the details. He takes coaching very well. He's mentally tough. He's physically tough dude. Takes care of his body and is great to stay on the field. And I'll tell you what, Evan Engram even said it himself. He was like, I would give up anything to, erase the cons of last year. He was like, I just want to forget about the 2020 season. Isn't that kind of interesting he says that, but he was also a Pro Bowl tight end? A Pro Bowl tight end says he wants to forget about his first Pro Bowl performance in season. That says a lot to me. That says a lot to me, and how he saw that as a down year for him. He saw that as unacceptable, and he was still considered a Pro Bowl tight end, Pro Bowl, quotations and whatnot. But still, the reality is he was voted a Pro Bowl tight end, and the fact that he says a lot about, where he wants to be, where he thinks he can land in terms of production quality. And, he went on to say, Joe Judge, I think the dependability for teammates is when they know you're working your hardest every day and you're doing everything you can to help the team. Then you put everything into it. And when something falls short of the field from any player, they can trust the guys putting in the work and the preparation at the point At that point, we have to help the guy improve. But I'm very pleased with the way he works. He's a fun guy to have in the program. He's great in the locker room. He's a great leader on our team. He's a productive player for us. I enjoy coaching him every single day. The reality is, Evan Engram was our top receiving target last year. Daniel Jones looked his way more than any other receiver. And I'll tell you what, without him, we would have lost way more games. We probably would have been blown out in a couple of them. Of course, he did lose us a couple of games. And his plus minus is probably about even. He probably made as many plays as he messed up. But you have to be a positive player, especially if you're in your fifth-year option. The Giants picked up his fifth-year option. He has one more year to prove he's worth an extension. And I hope he balls out. I want to see him get rid of those drop issues. The Giants went and signed Kyle Rudolph to 2 years to make sure that they could cover up that middle of the field, high percentage throws that Evan Engram just couldn't haul in. But he'd make like an insane one-handed grab down the sideline and then drop the next one. So that's like Evan Engram in a nutshell for you. The guy is polarizing at like the epitome of polarizing. But I'm excited about this camp, guys. I think that the Giants are taking strides forward. I think this offense is going to take strides forward. And, that kind of, I want to talk about the offensive line for a second. I want to go to Nick Gates and what he had to say about this group. And, his quote was pretty interesting to me. He says, I think it's huge regarding having, being in person right now, being in the facility, training with the young offensive line. We know Andrew Thomas was a rookie last year. Matt Parrott, rookie last year. Nick Gates, his first-year center. Will Hernandez had COVID and was injured. And then you have, Nate Solder opted out. They have Cam Fleming, a journeyman. And they have Kevin Seiler, the only real veteran there. So being in person in training right now, Nick Gates said, I think it's huge, especially as young a team as we are right now. I think it's great for us to get in the building. Quarterbacks throw the routes to the wide receivers for timing, and the O-line getting in there and working technique. Having a new O-line coach this year and learning what he's like in different plays and his technique that he likes. Now, the Giants, of course, went through a variety of different offensive line coaches last year, ranging from Mark Colombo to Dave DeGuglielmo. Mark Colombo completely destroyed Andrew Thomas's technique. That's why he kind of returned to his normal self. The second half of the year, Dave DeGuglielmo came in, really helped solve that technique issue and really kind of reverted him back to his Georgia ways. Mark Colombo I don't know what he was doing, but I think he envisioned Andrew Thomas playing a certain way, and I think he messed up his footwork. Of course, he had the injury too, but his handwork was all over the place. His footwork was awful. They fired him, brought in the other guy, Dave, and then it kind of reverted back to his normal self. He was playing more bully ball, playing more physical, and we saw a better version of Andrew Thomas because of it. So that was a good sign. But I'll tell you what, Nick Gates makes a huge point here, and I've been harping on this continuously for the past few weeks. The offensive line is the catalyst for the offense succeeding in 2021. That is like straight, clear cut. It is the catalyst for the Giants having a good offense next season. Now, can the offensive line take a step forward? Absolutely. Why? Well, the context clues really come into play here. The offensive line has in-person training this year. They have a new consistent offensive line coach in Rob Sale who set literal offensive records. He was the OC and offensive line coach at the Louisiana football program. The guy set records there, like just blew up that offense, was incredible. He's a Joe Judge guy. Mark Colombo was a Jason Garrett guy, someone to help him transition. Mark Colombo, not a Joe Judge guy. Rob Sale, Joe Judge guy. That is somebody he likes. That is somebody he brought in to overhaul this. And apparently the guys love him. The offensive line already loves him. They love his style. They love how he's coaching them, and they love his technique and all the different ways that he wants to operate in terms of getting these guys into playing shape come the regular season. And the consistency there is key because Mark Colombo really didn't have in-person training the entire preseason, right? They were not in person for a majority of that last offseason, and I think now they will be. They have a full preseason. They have an extra regular season game. I think this offensive line is going to play a lot better than people are giving them credit for. And a big reason for that is Will Hernandez making that transition over to right guard instead of playing at left guard. Will Hernandez can really activate himself in the run game instead of really holding himself back at left guard. I know they want to run more power to the right side with Matt Parrott, especially if he's starting at right tackle. I think Will Hernandez and Matt Parrott is going to be an awesome benefit right there to really capitalize off each other's strengths. Matt Parrott is a strong, physical, big Hulk-like right tackle, and Will Hernandez also has phenomenal size. He gained a little bit of muscle this offseason and a little bit more speed. So I think for the reason behind this right side of the offensive line taking a step forward, I think it's going to be because they're running more power with Saquon Barkley and Devontae Booker to Matt Parrott and Will Hernandez's side. I think that combo actually could be a really great combination. If you saw the picture of Matt Parrott, this guy is freaking massive. He is a behemoth of a human being, a mammoth, if you will, just a freaking monster of a human. And he gained so much muscle mass this season. I don't know what the hell the Giants had this guy taking, putting nails in his Wheaties or something. I have no freaking clue, but the guy is huge. And I'll tell you what, when you have a big offensive tackle with the same agility, same athletic prowess that he does, it's going to be fun to watch. I'm really excited to see his development. Having a veteran like Nate Solder to back up that left and right tackle spot is also a massive benefit. Having just depth, quality depth, you can never overlook that. Look at the Chiefs. Look at having a Pat Mahomes when his depth at tackle went down, when his starters went down and tackle. The guy was running for his life. Having Nate Solder, an experienced guy who can play both sides, huge benefit, massive benefit. So I'm really hoping that Matt Pert gets the start there on day one. But I like what Nick Gates had to say. The young offensive line, they're taking steps forward. Being in person in the building is going to be a huge benefit for these guys. Working with the offense and Daniel Jones and Kenny Golladay, we're going to see a better offense, guys. No doubt we're going to see a better offense. It's just a matter of how better. How can that offensive line hold up in the first couple weeks of the year, especially against Denver with a really great defensive line and Bradley Chubb, Von Miller. They have some quality players over there, so it's going to be tough. Plus, they have one of the best secondaries in the NFL in terms of Patrick Surtain. They have Fuller and Ronald Darby, very good corners. But let's move it back to what Joe Judge had to say about Daniel Jones. Just a couple more quotes here. So let's see. Basically, Daniel Jones showing clear improvement. Has he grasped the system? What is his progress like? Is he taking steps forward mentally, physically, accuracy, pocket awareness? He's been working with a couple of different trainers to help his pocket awareness, and I'm excited about that too because we're going to interview one of them very soon for you guys. So this is what Joe Judge had to say about Daniel Jones. I think his overall understanding and command is really becoming where we want it to be, and you saw that last year as he grew within it. He didn't have the opportunity last year to have a spring, to have a true training camp to go out there. Going with the same terminology, the same language this year, that slows it down a little bit for any player in terms of being in the huddle. His command always was really great. I think the biggest thing right now for any quarterback, including Daniel, is just getting on the same page as all the players and getting the timing down. The timing of year. This time of year really for those guys is crucial just to be able to go out there and throw routes and get some timing. Everybody's a little different. So Joe Judge essentially is saying that Daniel Jones didn't have the spring last year, didn't have the training camp, the in-person chemistry building that they really needed him to have in that second year. And that's another reason why the offense struggled, why the timing was off for him and the receivers, why he didn't feel comfortable in the pocket, why he didn't have the chemistry with his offensive line, the timing down. And I think that plays a big part. That's something to be aware of. And for the most part, the Giants are, in a place now where they can offer that to Daniel Jones. All the coaches, most of them at least, are vaccinated. They don't have to worry so much about COVID this year, and I think that's a huge bonus for them. It's going to be a really big positive for Daniel Jones to really grasp this offense and get into a place where he can maximize his talents. We know him running the read option. He has good downfield accuracy. He can run the football. The guy has all the tangible traits, physical qualities you want in a quality quarterback and a franchise quarterback. And I think that it just comes to the mental processing, the awareness, and really holding it down in the regular season and really being consistent. Consistency is key for Daniel Jones because he'll have a great drive. He'll have a great moment. But the reality is he needs to be consistent day in, day out. He cannot fumble the football a ton. He can't throw bad interceptions. The Giants just have to get him in a place, and I think they got the weapons with Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard, and a bunch of other guys to really maximize his potential. So I'm excited about that. And moving on to the last section, the rookies. How is Joe Judge looking at these rookies, their improvement? He had a classic quote right here. Freaking Joe Judge is the best. He says, "I'm really pleased with the way they work. I think with the rookies, what you see a lot of times, you see a level of improvement week by week more so than the vets because they're so young. It's kind of like watching a bunch of pups grow up. You've got to remember these guys are walking down the hallway and are just trying to remember everyone's face and names. When you start plugging it all together and moving fast and forward, these guys, it slows down for them every week. When you get these guys from the draft into rookie minicamp, they've been so far removed from football training. It's like combine training. It's that personal trainer kind of let's go at your own pace. You have to get back into the team football where you're moving at a higher intensity with a higher volume and you're moving in more team drills. I'm excited to see these guys when the pads fully come on and see them really go full speed. Now, Joe Judge is very good at getting these rookies into shape, and I think he's kind of hitting it on the head. You can't put these guys in the fire. You can't, baptism by fire isn't the best thing for rookies. You want them to gradually increase and gradually improve as time goes on. I think as for the rookies, that's exactly what they're doing with them. They're easing them along, getting them comfortable, and that's the best way to do it, especially with involuntary or rather voluntary OTAs. They have a mandatory camp coming up in a couple weeks or a couple days, really. So I think that's going to be a big bonus for the Giants, having those rookies all there, all the veterans there. Some of these guys that can really help. Get them all just ready and prepared for the regular season. I'm really excited to see what these rookies can offer. I think Kadarius Toney has an impact day one. Azeez Ojulari has an impact day one. I think some of these running backs, including Gary Brightwell, will have at least an impact on special teams. Rodarius Williams, I think, will be a good punt gunner. And, of course, you have Aaron Robinson, who's going to be competing with, Darnay Holmes in the slot, which I'm excited about because I think that's going to be one of the position battles to watch in the coming days. So these rookies, they're just getting their feet wet, just getting comfortable. And I think that's something to keep an eye on. Let's see what rookies really stand out. I think Aaron Robinson is going to have a really good camp. He's so physical. So I'm excited to see that. But for the most part, this team, progress is happening. I really like what they're doing right now in terms of getting all the players in shape and having them attend. I'm not too worried about the secondary not being there. That's kind of expected with Logan Ryan kind of taking a more leadership role. But I'm excited to see, guys. I'm excited to see this team in preseason taking steps forward, gradual steps, and hopefully this offense comes out guns blazing, shots firing, and we can get this entire team clicking on all cylinders early. But my friends, have a fantastic weekend. Saturday, it's going to be beautiful out. Spend time with family, go to the beach, spend some time outside. I'm really excited to go see some fam in my hometown this on Saturday and really just get some sun because the city can't get much sun. I'm white as hell out here. It's freaking terrible. But make sure to sign up to the membership section below. You can join. Really small fee, really supports the channel and helps us out. So that means a lot to us, and I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, turn on notifications on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.
TVSO.